We're going live. This is the first time I haven't been running OpenMandriva on something.
Your favorite isn't in Mars.
Well, whether it's my favorite, I mean, I really haven't been able to work in it on a regular basis because there are some things I'm still having to learn, but it was the first distro I ran was Mandrake. Back when it was Mandrake, not Mandriva. Yeah.
How was your experience with OpenMandriva? I would love to boot it up sometime.
It's really nice. I like it, but I haven't figured out all the ins and outs of it. It's a beautiful distro, and it will load to almost anything. And if you do the tricks right, you can move from OpenMandriva LX 4.2 to OpenMandriva rolling LX 4.5.
Oh, okay. So it's a rolling distro?
They have a rolling distro. You start with the rock distro and you do a conversion. And I have done that conversion on 5 times and it's worked twice.
Oh, okay. So is it somewhat like Arch, breaking down? Like it'll break
No,
if you update?
it's not like Arch at all. It's very much its own baby.
I'm talking.
It is an RPM distro, but they don't use PEMAC or anything like that.
Talking about stability, like OpenMandriva rolling.
Oh, I've never had it break down on me. I've never had a problem with it stability-wise.
Okay.
I have run both the rock and the rolling. They didn't have the split until 4.2. And then the rolling, they actually made it 4.5 to keep it separate from the 4.2 packages. Then when they go to 5, they will probably have a 5 and 5.5. They are working on 5 at this time. But it's a good team. It's a friendly team. I haven't always gotten the answer I needed to make it work because I'm not the most technical person.
What is it based off exactly, or is it just an independent distro?
It's considered independent. It actually forked off of Red Hat way back, like Red Hat 5. But it's been its own baby for so long, and then they merged with Connectiva, which was a Brazilian distro. Mandrake was a French distro. And so they ran for a while there, and then they had some financial problems, and the last version of Mandriva was actually written by the Rosa developers in Russia. And however, the Mandrake team kept going, and they're still working on Magia.
Oh,
and
okay.
another fork back from the Mandriva days was PC Linux OS, and then they rebased off of Mandriva later. So PC Linux OS, however, has their own system where they literally adapt apt to run the RPM distros. So it's kind of a halfway thing where you're using apt commands to install your RPM files. But Rosa is still going. It's a commercial Russian version, and OpenMandriva was rebased off of Rosa after Mandriva folded. But I've tried Rosa, and it's not nearly as nice. The team, Ben Bullard and his staff, do a great job with OpenMandriva. It at least is stable and it's beautiful. I'm not able to make it do everything I want it to do, but when you get stability and beauty down, you've got a big chunk of the job done. Have you gone over to computest.org, is it?
Who, me? Not yet.
Yeah. There's a website where you can actually load up any of hundreds of Linux distros and run them on their server on your screen.
Oh, okay. I'll try that.
I think it's called Computest.
Okay, I'll search for that. Joe, do you have that link which Tony shared for the older ISOs of every distro?
Nope, I don't.
It was there in like some show notes. I remember once
Oh,
Tony.
wearing my LQ shirt today.
Moss would be more likely to have something like that than I would.
What's the question?
There was a link to a website which had every old versions of Fedora and other distros. I don't remember what website was it. It was a
Well,
collection.
it's probably on archive.org somewhere. But I don't. Let me do a quick search.
We need to pick the topic for the next show. And Bill, thank you for sending me that package. I'll keep my eye out for it. You said it should be here Thursday?
Yeah. I think they said Thursday by the afternoon. I took
Yes,
it there.
Nishant, that's the one I found too.
I took it to UPS and had them put it in a fancy box and everything. And
Awesome. Thank you.
You guys
Just
are lucky staying in the same country. You can ship across everything for less.
it was well, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah, shipping anything in the U.S. right now is atrociously expensive. I mean, I have a listener, Dustin.
Well,
that
not
likes,
by international standards. It's really not, Joe.
Yeah, but I have a listener name of Dustin that likes to buy headsets from me, and he lives like 40, 50 miles away, and for me to mail him a set of headsets costs $20,
Wow.
which
That
is
would cost
Well-
$120 plus like 20 plus $100 custom for
I
shipping it to India.
me and Tony have shipped things
Well-
back and forth without atrocious fees. I mean, it costs just about as much for me to send things to Tony as it does for me to send things to Dustin.
How much does
Well,
it cost?
when Tony had to send me a Raspberry Pi 2B Plus, he actually gave it to George Dosher, and George brought it back to Florida and mailed it to me from there.
Well, Tony mailed me those cars, and then
Yes,
yeah, that couldn't have been that expensive. I mean, pretty small
I've
package.
got mine.
I've got
No,
mine.
I'm
It's right
just-
over there.
Talking about those $60 and above.
Yeah, well, I've had the story that Joe has heard before that when my wife was still my girlfriend who lived in Canada, I shipped her a Lenovo ThinkPad X130E, a very small, very light, very cheap computer, and it was just for her to use. I wasn't selling it to her, and Canadian Post charged her dad $105 just to receive it. Just GST, and we're going, but we're not selling it. And she brought it back 3 weeks later, and he still had to pay the GST on it. In fact, he waited to pay the GST until she was back here already, and so he was paying GST on something that wasn't even in Canada at the time.
I wasn't sure if they were going to give me some grief over the battery. I didn't know if that was a thing or not. I've never mailed anybody a laptop.
It is a thing, but they ignore it a lot.
Okay. Well, they
Phones, you're
They
supposed
still-
to go to UPS to mail phones and computers.
that's what I did. And let's put it this way: half the price was the box itself. Because when I brought it in there, they didn't like the box I put it in. They said, "Oh no, we've got this thing where they slide it into this pocket and it suspends it in midair in the middle of the box, and it's got packing material." I said, "Yeah, whatever." And then that ended up being half the price. But you know, whatever. If it gets there safer that way, I guess. It's
So do we have a topic, or are we just raising the subject of a topic?
We need to pick a topic.
Oh, Joe, with your microphone,
Yeah.
in the last show at least, when you're actually talking, I'm hearing a hum behind your voice, but as soon as you stop talking, I don't. I mean, with your microphone on, it's just like, while your voice is actually active, I'm hearing a hum, and as soon as you stop talking, the hum goes away. Well, the microphone's still open.
I'm not sure. Oh, well, that might be the input level. Let me tweak that. Okay, it was set to 100%. So
Mine should be at 80, but I better check that.
Okay, now.
Oh, mine's at 100 right now. There we go.
Yeah. Now mine is at 80.
Well, I leave mine at 100. Should we?
You only need to change it if you're getting like something like a hot mic, which you're not. You sound great. Don't change anything.
Okay.
But if I'm getting that humming in the background, or if it's picking up a lot of the stuff around me for no apparent reason, then yeah, I should dial mine down a bit and allow something else to control the volume. And why the heck?
Yeah, well, I wasn't getting any background noise. It was just while you were talking, there was a hum behind it.
Okay, that might help a little bit too. I adjusted it a little bit on the controls that are on the mic. How do I sound?
Oh, better.
Okay.
Bill, are you running Arch on that TV over there?
No, this is hooked to my Rock Pro 64. I'm rebuilding my Nextcloud server, and I'm going to do it from scratch the hard way instead of using the Snap, because I was running into some problems with snaps on Debian. So I'm just going to do it the long way. I was running.
I understand the problem with running the. Well, I don't know about the Snap, but the Flatpak, you had some issues with getting to folders that you needed on.
Well, what you had to do is either a bind mount, or you had, if you were using ZFS, you had to tell ZFS to mount the folder where the Snap or the Flatpak expects, because they both kind of have that siloed off way of doing things. And so you've got a bind mount, and it's not real clear. I don't know. They do a lot of work to make that as painless of an experience as they can. I think they could do a little bit more work to make things like storage a little more accessible, because that might be a little bit more faffing around than people are willing to do. But I mean, if I could get Ubuntu for this thing, it wouldn't be a problem. I could just run the Snap, and it wouldn't be a problem. But the thing about these single board computers, they chuck them over the wall and leave the community to make operating systems for it. And
what single board computer?
the Rock Pro 64.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Moss.
Pi, there is an Ubuntu.
Moss.
Pine Rock 64?
Pine 64, yeah.
Moss, you're planning on sending me some headphones, right?
I have a box. It has more than just headphones. I got that tape recorder. I don't know whether it worked or not, but my dad's tape recorder, which is really high end for a cassette recorder.
Is it a Sony?
No, it's a General Electric, but this did not have the battery compartment, and so I bought another used one that does. And I then found I'd already packed all my cassette tapes, so I don't even know if it works. I might just throw these in the box for you to check out.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Oh wait, General Electric manufactured consumer electronics as well?
Oh yeah, they were big.
I know only like aviation part and the locomotive part of their business. And air conditioner part of the business. That's
They
it.
used to make everything.
Look at this, Joe. This thing has controls like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah, that looks cool. That looks like it'd be fun to work on.
mean,
I don't know if I have any cassettes either.
I was introduced to General Electric when I saw that they were making those jet engines for the Airbus.
I have some cassettes, but they're actually for the Atari, so they're not going to work in there.
Any
well,
for
the main thing is see if it works. Yeah. If it goes screech, 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 then at least you know it's working.
Yeah.
Good old cassettes.
What's up, Jojo?
The first computer I actually got to work on was a cassette drive.
Would you mind if I came out here and read?
Read? Okay, that's fine.
And I also had a cassette drive for my first computer, the TI-99/4A.
My God, so much experience regarding computers in mintCast today.
What he's saying is we're old.
No,
That's what he said.
no,
I heard it.
We are old.
He said you guys are old.
no. I mean the era which I
Hey,
missed.
I don't even get that from Rudra. You can't get away with that with me.
No, I mean to say I am witnessing an era with you
I'm
guys
used to it.
which I missed, like the Atari 64, the Texas Instrument computers, and all those.
I still
By
have
the
my
way,
Atari 800, but it needs parts.
I have good news for all you prospective devs out there. Rudra is now 12 years old.
His birthday today.
Well, when he started this, he was 9, and everyone was talking about the 10-year-old phenom, and now he's 12. So he's objecting to being called a 10-year-old anymore because he's had a couple birthdays since then.
Did he listen to our podcast?
Oh,
Yet?
he listens to us, yeah. And he's in the mintCast room. He's also in the Distro Hoppers Digest room, where he even gave me his birthday.
Good to see young people on the development side from an early age.
I brag about him like he's my own kid. I mean, I don't know what I have to do with his success at all, but well, I've donated some money to the project. That's about it. Yeah.
So Joe, does that buy me a coffee link work for you? Because I'm thinking of setting up my own PayPal.
Nobody sent me a coffee yet, so I have no clue.
I was getting some stuff through. I was on sponsors.org, which I really think they should have just done sponsor.us. That
Okay.
Sponsors worked for me. It was a good system.
I had this one more question. How do contributors get money for their work if they're working on a major project like Fedora project, for example?
They're contributing.
Depends on who's donating to them how.
Okay. Most
You
of
know,
the contributors on Fedora,
some of them actually work for a corporation and are
yes,
doing
they
it as
work
part
for
of
Red
their.
Hat. Most of the
If you-
contributors are Red Hat employees. That's what I heard.
If you don't want to work for a corporation, but you want to make money doing some type of development, either there's a couple ways you can do it. Fiverr, but yeah, people are insane what they expect for $5. And bug hunting.
Oh, you mean bounty?
Yeah, bounty, bug hunting.
Okay.
There's another system that you can actually go onto and see. You know, people say, "Well, I have this project and I will pay this amount of money for." It's like Fiverr, but it's not limited to $5.
I don't think Fiverr's
And,
limited
of
to
course,
$5 either.
Well, at any rate,
bid
they
system.
usually expect a whole lot more than what they're willing to pay for.
Exactly.
No, I don't expect much, but let's see. So, I mean, if you don't check your PayPal account, you never know, right? Who's donating or something. If they listen to you every day, they wait for
I check my
like
coffee
2 weeks
page,
for.
and yeah, nobody goes there.
So it's tough being a host.
I don't exactly
With
push it
PayPal.
either. You know, I mention it once at the end of each show, so it's not like I'm hawking that thing everywhere.
That's good actually. See, from one of the main devs on Serenity OS, he left his Apple 9 to 5 job, and he's earning like $2,000 through donations to his project alone. Andrea Kling is his name.
2,000 a month.
Yeah, 2,000 a month, 2,000 USD a month through the PayPal donation, and $150 through YouTube channel.
There we go.
Very good.
It's not very
Let's
good.
see. Where's the team stuff? There's the green. Here you go, Nishant. Here's a make use of article for you.
Okay, wait.
Well, I'm not ready for a pie show yet, so we can't do a pie show.
We can.
I don't have a Pi, so I wouldn't be eligible for a Pi show. Yet
Somebody
to
send the man a zero.
I've got like a dozen pies sitting around. How much would it cost to send a pie to?
What, a
To,
Pi,
uh,
a Pi
India.
Zero, you could practically send in a padded envelope.
I don't know how much use he'd get out of that though. I've got a 4. I'm using my 3 for pie hole, but I've got one of those 0 W's, and I've got one of those new 02 W's.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I want to set up a Pi hole, and Londoner has actually sent me some supposedly easy to understand, and I looked at the first 4 lines of it and started blanking out.
Oh, it's trivial.
I think Pi is within my budget, so I can just maybe buy a new one off the shelf here in India.
Well, I'm in no rush. I'm not saying the next show has to be a Pi show. It could be the show after that. It's just I don't know what we want to do for this show.
Well, what I would want to do would be to get on with somebody while I'm doing it and make sure I'm doing it right.
I would be happy to do that with you.
Moss,
Hmm?
honestly, what I would do for
Do
you
you-
is just mail you a Pi Zero with Pi Hole installed and
What is Pi hole?
tell you to
It's a
hook it
DNS
up, set
sinkhole.
up the Wi-Fi, and then point your IP to it.
Well, this reminds me, once I get back to my hometown, I need to resurrect that Dell laptop and make it a server.
Yeah, the Pi hole basically is a DNS dump where none of the advertising gets through to your system.
So it's like a filter or something?
Yeah,
You
It's a-
plug it in at the router, and anything that's on that router has all the
Well,
advertising blocked.
after you change your DNS to be the Pi Hole, it does.
Yeah.
just-
And then it only blocks like the ad sites that it knows. So it is important to update it because there's always more ad sites coming up.
Okay.
I actually don't run
Does
it
it have
that
to be
way.
plugged into the router, or can it be
No.
anywhere on the network?
It can be
Anywhere on the network. And you don't have to point the whole router at it. You can just choose certain devices. That's how I
Honestly,
do it because
You could point your if I were to set up like port forwarding, you could set up your DNS to point to my Pi Hole.
yeah.
Would that add a certain amount of latency, perhaps?
Not noticeably, because it's not affecting how your pages load. It would add like a couple of milliseconds of latency to finding the website, but you wouldn't
Okay.
really
But
notice.
We're-
it.
we're
what you
basically-
lose in time doing that, you'll gain back because the website will come across more lean because it won't have any of the ads. I do that when I'm on the road. I WireGuard back into my big server here that's got it's hooked up to the Pi hole.
Well, the main thing that we're looking at is getting the ads off our phones.
Okay.
Well, it would take a lot of the ads off your phones now, like games and stuff. On the other hand, and
They won't work.
YouTube.
We don't do games.
Do you do YouTube
Oh,
on your
you're
phone?
golden.
Yeah. But
Okay.
YouTube, I don't do YouTube. Yeah, I do YouTube on my phone, but I prefer to do YouTube on my Pi, where
Okay.
I've got ad blocker.
Well, yes, that's it exactly. Your Pi hole would not block YouTube ads.
Okay.
You would need
Is there
to.
an ad blocker for
Yes.
YouTube on a phone?
Yes, there is. It's called YouTube Vanced, and you have to.
I've tried
Sideload
using
it.
that, and it's more complicated.
Or use a proper open source application to get your YouTube videos like NewPipe or something like that. And you're just bypassing that whole.
Well,
Nobody
I
ever heard of
rarely go
NewPipe.
to YouTube on my phone. When I do, it's to grab a link that someone sent me, and that goes YouTube. There's no way around that.
Yeah, that's
There's ways
supported.
around that.
Okay.
There's always
Well,
ways around that.
No,
Well-
YouTube Vanced. What I did was I installed YouTube Vanced on my phone. It's not that difficult. It just sounds difficult. And then I disable the built-in YouTube application, and then all links for YouTube go to YouTube Advanced.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to block it on a PC, then you need something like uBlock Origin.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm running on my Pi, but I am running ad blocker, and I don't get any ads on YouTube. And then I start looking at them on my phone, and I'm going, where did that come from? I don't get that on my Pi.
Right, yeah.
I like pies. You really have to adjust your expectations as to what they can do.
Yep.
Well, I'm not running my Pi 4 as a desktop, okay?
Yeah.
But I am running a desktop distro on it to run Kodi.
Well, I was thinking about setting up USB IP so that I could do USB over Wi-Fi using my Pi.
I am looking for a Pi kit to automate some stuff at home.
And then
Which
hook up this headset to that, and that way when I'm doing podcasting directly from the headset, not using this mic here, then I could, walk around the house and still be connected to this computer in here.
So which Pi would you recommend for IoT and home automation?
Any of them.
Any of them.
It,
If you wanted to run a desktop, you better get a 4 or a 400.
yeah.
But if you're just using it for automation, any of them.
Honestly, if it's for some type of automation or an IoT, then the best thing is the Pi Zero W.
Yeah.
Because it's the cheapest.
Or the Pi Zero W Book 2.
Yeah, but the Pi Zero W
there's
should
a
be
new W.
cheaper.
I think they're only
You
$5.
really think that Zero would be good for home automation if you got?
Yeah.
I mean, how many things would you be? I've never done it, so preface with that, I suppose.
Like one per device that you're trying to automate. I wouldn't make it like
Basically the lights, LED lights and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it the brain of your automation, but if all you're doing is, telling the Pi to turn on.
Yeah.
Turn on lights and turn off lights.
Yeah.
Well, we have an Echo for that, but we don't have anything it can turn on, so we're safe.
No, that I can complement with one of those Tata's smart lights, which work with all those Raspberry Pi. The TCS which I was talking about, they do manufacture those tube lights as well. Wipro, Tata.
A lot of my lights are hooked up to smart switches. So the switch on the light itself always stays on, and then computer, turn on green.
Something like that. But not too fancy, only for these room lights. Which if I leave my room, I will just say switch it off. Computer switch it off.
Turn on Stampede.
Okay.
What is Stampede?
That's my overhead light. And all that is I got a smart socket.
Can we name it can we name the computer? Like you said computer, can we name it after some characters? Which
No, you can't. You can name individual devices whatever you want, but Alexa will only take certain names. It's like Alexa, Echo.
Alexa, Echo, and computer.
Yeah.
Okay. You're using...
We just went through in the other room, so she's hearing.
You're using Pi or you're using Alexa for this
I'm
one?
using Alexa for this. Computer, turn off Stampede.
Okay.
So you need to write Alexa skills for different names if you can.
No,
Right.
it's all set up. I mean, all I did
Is
was...
it hard-coded or it is modifiable?
Well, you can modify it. You can even use something like IFTTT to make it do crazy things and make it do crazy things in a specific order. But it's not really needed for, common stuff like setting up a whole
So
room.
I can assign it a name, any name instead of computer, for
No.
example.
You cannot. It'll only take like computer, Echo, and I think Alexa.
No, I'm talking about Raspberry Pi. If I use Raspberry Pi as the brain. Alexa, I understood.
Stop. No, then you would need a specific like program to do that. I know that there are a couple of open source ones out there, but none of them have really stood out as doing well. If you're going to completely set up your own home automation and not use like Google or Amazon or anything like that, or Apple. What was that one that everybody was talking about a couple of years ago, Moss? We brought it up on the show a couple of times. That was made for the Pi.
That one what?
The virtual assistant. The open source one.
Pycroft.
Pycroft? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mycroft was the project, but then Pycroft.
Right. And I saw Explaining Computers has a video on his setting up a Mycroft, and I was very underwhelmed by the ability of Mycroft on that. It sounded very mechanical and not very smart.
Well, there's a lot of things it has to do, and it's got to be able to translate what you're saying and figure it out. So it's got to send that information out somewhere. I know that they were trying to find a way to process it all locally, but I don't know if I would use a Pi for that. That's a lot of processing.
Well, if you ever want to get a good giggle, watch a lot of Explaining Computers videos.
I like some of his stuff.
He's really informative, and you can tell he really wants to smile but just can't.
I'm just laughing at my friend. I mean, I'm smiling because I'm really happy. Like, I'm so far from my friend, yet he or she messages me to check on me, what you're doing or how are you doing. Since I came for a wedding, she's reminding me that how's your shopping for the wedding going on and everything. Even though I'm just sitting in the room and doing nothing at the moment due to the restrictions.
Oh, so when are your parents picking your bride?
Not my bride. Not my bride. It's not my bride.
There was a question. When are your parents picking your bride?
4 years.
4 years from now?
Yes.
Maybe they should do that here.
Well,
US
it would have worse results.
Statistically,
they couldn't do any worse
arranged
than we do.
marriages work better than, people you pick yourself.
Well, but it wouldn't work in the U.S. as well because we don't have the close families.
No, in India we have like a tight-knit family and everything.
Yeah.
So family decisions matter in India.
Family is everything in India. You probably even live in extended family household.
I have a bigger family than I knew from, like, when my dad used to tell that you have this in-laws in some other place, then I got to know how big my family is. I just didn't know that before that.
Well, here my mother is 1,800 miles away before she passed. My nearest cousins are in Nashville, Monteagle, and then Southwest Missouri. I do have two cousins from different sides of the family in Tennessee, but that's as close as we get. We do not have families here. We do not. And I don't think
No,
it would work.
here families is a big tradition, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Here it's not. I mean, I know, like, large portions of my family, but it's not like I'm close to any of them. I mean,
Well,
the
I have
only
to go
one I
get
talk
some
to
more glue. My
regularly
teeth are moving around.
is my dad and my stepmom, and I occasionally talk to my sister. Oh, and my brothers.
Yeah,
I like them. And my uncle. I talk to my uncle, I guess.
Well, here some things will break apart sometimes if things go wrong, but they will never give up on you.
Oof, and I got 4.
Like family is family. Like even if you have arguments sometimes on a bad day, they will still come and back you up.
Still like my
Like,
grandma.
are you okay?
My grandma's pretty cool.
Grandparents are amazing.
Well, my dad's mom is pretty cool. My mom's parents can go fuck themselves. Oh yeah, I
Oh,
forgot we're live. I can't say that. Whoops.
beep them out, beep it out.
Too late.
I'm so
It's
offended.
live.
Oh God, did you just?
Not like any of them watch
What are we
this.
not going to do about it?
No, no. I mean, if Indian audiences are there right now, they would seriously jump on Joe for calling it
They
that.
can say what they like. They don't know how my mom's parents are. My mom's parents
Exactly
have
my point.
hated me since the day that I was born because I was born with a penis.
But
They
here
loved
it's the
my-
How
opposite.
dare you?
They loved my sister.
That
They
is
wanted
good.
nothing to do
I
with
mean,
me.
no offense, no offense. In some countries, boys are given more preference over women.
You know,
In India, especially.
okay, that's wrong as well. But my problem is that they were completely not just indifferent to my existence, but they hated the fact that I existed.
Oh, that is something different.
Yeah. And it's not because of who I am or what I've done or anything like that. It's simply because I was born male.
That's stereotypical to the power of million.
Well, the good news is one day all these people will be dead.
Oh,
Oh, what
And
sucks
you won't.
is the family that I liked started dying first. I mean, my dad's dad, George, Grandpa Boylan, he died several years ago, and then his wife died like 6 months later, and that sucked. That was a bad year. And then
things happen.
my grandpa Jerry, who's married to my dad's mom, he passed last year. I don't know if you guys remember me having to run off to Florida for the funeral, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you were not on the show during that time, if
he
I remember
actually
correctly.
helped raise me when my dad was in Iraq. So yeah, that kind of hit me a little bit hard.
That kind of bond is like, which I like, family helping you.
Well,
So,
he's
since we
all
are talking about family, I have seen a marked behavior change in my dad recently. From telling me that you can't study further, he's like, just tell me when you need the money, I'll support you in your further studies.
That's good.
That's
I
a
never got
marked
that from
change.
my parents.
That's a
That's
very
why
marked change. Before he used to doubt my abilities, that you got so and so marks or CGPA, you won't be able to study.
my
But now he
parents.
changed
my
totally.
mom was so sure that I could not handle money that she set up her will having me having a special needs trust where if I wanted anything I had to go to the executor and ask for money because she did not believe I could be trusted with any amount of money. She even set it up such that theoretically I inherited 49% of her estate, but I really only got 15%. She had my son get 15%, my daughter get 15%, and each of my grandkids get 2%. So that it wasn't up to me to pass things along to them because she didn't believe I could hold on to money to be able to do that. And I'm okay with that. It takes a lot of burden off of me, but we had to change the special needs trust because I haven't been disabled for so long, it's ridiculous. I stopped taking any of the drugs they had me on back in 2003.
No, but my parents never had the ability to send me to college. That's why I joined the army.
My parents told me they did, and they sent me there for 2 years, and then they said, "Oh, we're out of money," and all of a sudden, and the school financial aid department said, "Well, my parents make too much money to get any grants or scholarships," and so we had to. I either had to take out loans on my own because my parents would not back me, And my mom doesn't remember any of that. She says I dropped out of college. I did not drop out. I was sort of pushed out because I couldn't pay for it. But I was told that they had money for me to go to college, and they should have, because they were supposedly saving for me and my brother died while we were still in high school. But it didn't happen. I really didn't have good anything to study for. We didn't have, well, I guess the college I went to had a brand new computer sciences department, but they had one computer. It was a mid-frame Mohawk, and only a few people were allowed to work on it. But they said I didn't have enough mathematics in high school, and they didn't know how much mathematics you needed. The problem was the math I needed to get into the computer science program, the classes were full of athletes, and I was very much picked on by that kind of person at that time in my life, and so I did not want to take those classes because it would just mean getting picked on more.
Yeah, I was a nerd in high school.
You didn't complain?
Oh, you can complain. It just makes it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
Bullies will be bullies.
Wow, that is something. You complain and they don't work on it?
No, the teachers can't be there all the
Things
time.
have changed some. Remember, I finished high school in 1970.
In middle school, I got jumped by 20 people in the middle of the hallway in the school. And you know who got in trouble?
Who? You.
Me, because it was easier to punish the one me than it was the 20 people that decided to beat me up in the hallway.
Well, you must have done something that provoked them.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I just started swinging on 20 people so that they could bounce my head off a brick wall. That's what it was.
I know.
Damn it.
Well, with me, I was a freshman in high school when my brother drowned at the high school pool. And so for the next 2 years, the teachers were following me around campus, making sure nothing bad happened to me, and that made for a really repressive environment for me. I wound up transferring to a different school for my senior year, and I did really well my senior year. If I had done that well the other years, I could have gotten any scholarship anywhere, but that wasn't the case. So.
Okay, Linux question. Can you make Pamak run on Fedora?
Can you make
what now?
Pamak.
Oh, Pamak
no, that's
work
a
on
Pac-Man.
Pamak on Fedora.
That's
that's
AUR
an Arch
helper.
system. Yeah, that's an Arch system.
And that's not Arch's default package manager, by the way. That's something that Manjaro uses to kind of bind together
But you should be able to get DNF Dragora to run on it.
That I haven't done.
I have noticed something on Arch is that they convert, for some applications, they take the deb file and they convert it into AUR stuff.
Yeah.
The Arch stuff.
Well, with Mandriva and the systems similar to that, they use DNF Dragora, which is an easier system than. I think you can use DNF on Fedora, but they usually don't get the whole DNF Dragora thing, which DNF Dragora itself is very similar to Synaptic.
Okay. On some systems which are non-Fedora, I have seen DNF Dragora by default installed, only Fedora doesn't carry it anymore.
You should be able to get DNF to work. You should be able to get DNF.
DNF is working fine because it's default on Fedora, but I'm talking about the GUI application. Some non-Fedora distros which have RPM like OpenSUSE, they already have it on their ISO.
And OpenSUSE and like I said, OpenMandriva. Like I say, I love the feel of OpenMandriva. It does most of what I needed to do.
I'll try it out on a GNOME boxes and then let's see whether I can convert it to the rolling.
I don't trust VMs. I have never run a distro in a VM.
No, because I'm hardware limited, unfortunately.
I understand. Well, thanks to my wife, I am now up to 2 ThinkPads 500 series. I was going. I just for the purpose of getting to be all Lenovo, I was going to sell the Kudu 3 because I could also get a lot more money for it.
How old
System
is the
70
Kudu 3?
2016. System
Oh.
76 computers have a higher resale value than they should have because they're only slightly redone Clevos. And you can't get that kind of money for a Clevo or a Sager but you can for a Tuxedo or a System 76 and the same
The nearest
machine.
country for me which System 76 ships to is Oman. I have dad's friend over there. Maybe
Okay.
I can just ship it to him.
We still need
So
show IDs.
anyhow, I wound up swapping my System
What about
76.
talking about System 76 hardware?
There's nothing special about it. It's a Clevo. They go in and put a different Wi-Fi modem in it and a couple of other tweaks, and that's it.
Okay.
But it has a special cache. I have a 2016 System 76 machine, and I could easily get $600 for it. If I had the same thing in the Clevo, it'd be worth maybe $350, $400.
Was Pop!OS existing at that time? You bought Kudu 3? What was it running?
It came with Ubuntu in those days, and it's got an Ubuntu key instead of a Windows key.
Oh, so like even if I still want to have Ubuntu on a recent System 76 hardware, I can get that, right?
Oh yeah. But it's just fun seeing a Linux-based key instead of a Windows key.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I could replace my Acer's Windows key with a Linux key, but unfortunately it is hard-coded into the laptop. Like I cannot remove it.
The coding doesn't change. It's the same coding.
No, coding as in it's fixed. Like I cannot remove that part.
No, you don't. Well, you can put a sticker on it. They do sell stickers for it.
Yeah, but they're hard to find.
Well, this one would be hard to do because it's actually recessed. Oops, I just activated something with it. This is a fun keyboard. I love this keyboard. And unless you're a touch typist, you will never need the keyboard. If you're a touch typist, you will love that. But if you're not a touch typist, it's hard to do hunt and peck typing on a natural keyboard.
I
know,
keyboard.
Joe. Well, yeah, it wouldn't do me any good. This lets me have my hands be the way they're supposed to be. Yours, I'd be like this and getting wrist
Still have one inside.
repetitive injuries.
Except it changes color.
No, the red dragon doesn't change color.
If I could
one
get
I have there does.
a fellow's keyboard with those keys, I'd probably appreciate that, but it'd probably cost an arm and a leg.
This is a $90 keyboard, $80 keyboard?
Yeah, for something that I could replace with a $12 keyboard, except for the pretty keys.
Yeah, and the extra clickiness.
And the extra clickiness, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I do not have the clickiness on this keyboard, but it feels better, and my hands work better on it.
Well,
So
this has hot swappable MX Cherry Blues, and it'll do 3 bands of Bluetooth, and it also has a 2.4 gigahertz 2.4 gigahertz USB module.
Okay, so is that a portable keyboard, Joe?
What do you mean by portable?
Yes,
Like you can move it around
Yeah,
with you?
yeah.
Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Okay, any suggestion for a person who's on the move every time, like secondary hardware?
Oh, like
Well, Joe and I also have Jellycomb trackballs that are Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
No, portable laptop. Should I get a tablet convertible for that, for being more mobile?
well, it depends on your needs and
Yeah.
I already have a full-fledged laptop. I want it so I don't have to carry around much. while
Well,
traveling because I travel a lot.
okay. I've said it before. The Dell Latitude line is pretty awesome when it comes to their tablets. I'm not a big fan of the soft keyboards that come with them, but everything else on it is awesome.
Okay. So how is the support for latitudes in the kernel right now?
Perfect.
So is it on par with the ThinkPads yet?
Yeah. I mean, everything works. I have zero issues with it.
Okay.
Well,
And
you have talked about things you've had to do to get some things to work.
on
Right?
other machines.
Okay.
Yeah, not the Latitude line. You're thinking the Venue line, which I had to replace the Wi-Fi module on. Which is also
You're
from
scaring the
Dell.
cats.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
What you doing, little guy?
Which cat mouse?
I have 3.
All Persians?
What's that?
All Persian cats?
Poison?
Persian.
Persian.
Persian. None of them are Persians.
Oh,
They are mutts with some. Well, one of the two brothers have some Siamese in them because their mother looked like a real seal point, but she wasn't. But they're black. The 2 are black cats, and the other one's a tuxedo, and they're all short hairs.
sweet. So, Joe, coming to Linux support on laptops, on my current laptop, the only two distros which seem to work properly are Pop! OS and Fedora and Ubuntu. If you talk about base distros,
Well, what doesn't work with other distros?
like battery life wise, both Pop and Fedora are pretty good with all the updates. In in Arch based distros, the battery life is a bit problematic.
Well, probably you just need to install some power management. What is it?
Even with TLP, I get 2.5 on Arch based
You can
distros.
tweak TLP. I mean, just installing TLP isn't enough. You have to go in and actually put some settings in.
Oh, okay. That would take some time to figure out because I use auto mode always, just to keep it simple, instead of dabbling around and then crashing the system
Yeah,
later on.
well, you got to be able to dial back the processor and
Last time I dialed back the processor, the whole laptop froze and it crashed.
dial it back less.
This is Gremlin. He is a scaredy cat.
Hence the name.
If you were actually here, he would not be in my arms right now.
Yeah, that's
probably
the
under the
the animals. Even the parrot
Off
in
they go.
even the parrot in my current house doesn't come to me because I came from outside the house. Like he's scared of like new people around, but eventually he got to.
Well, Gremlin's
No.
just a scaredy cat. He was actually more social when he was young, which is weird. He was a feral cat. He was born under our trailer.
How old is he?
Well, he's about 2.5 years old now. And about 18 pounds. I do not have small cats. Cecil is over 20 pounds. His brother Narasima is around 15.5, 16 pounds.
So Moss, how was your last week in Linux world?
How was my last week in Linux?
Yes.
I'm still here. I don't.
So any
Do not-
distro hopping you did?
Hmm?
Any distro hopping? You were talking about reviewing something, right?
Well, we did Distro Hoppers Digest on Wednesday. Also, Wednesday morning, I did Full Circle Weekly News. I recorded it before the show, and then a couple hours after the show, I did the production on it and sent it to Ronnie in Scotland. And then, of course, on Sunday I did this show. So I've had a busy week.
That's nice.
I don't know when I'll get my next script for Full Circle. It's usually sometime between Saturday and Tuesday.
Okay, so you're the lone host on Full Circle, or is there anybody with you?
It's just me. I took it over from Leo. I've been doing it since, what, April? I think I started it just before I left this show.
Yeah, a couple months.
And then Norbert and I came in to take your place, and then you're back.
You didn't take my place. Nobody can replace me.
Obviously, I meant for that temporary time, and then you came back now, which is pretty interesting, to say the least.
We need somebody else named Tony. That's what we need.
How about another Josh?
I think we got enough of those.
What about bringing the young Josh back?
When he gets free time and starts doing Linux again.
Oh, he's doing Linux, has it? Running Linux?
No, I think he's running
Okay,
Windows.
Oh, he's a student, right? Yeah, I forgot.
First episode of Full Circle Weekly News I did was number 204. Leo's last one covered the 15th to 28th of March.
And I still can't believe it. There's a desktop environment in Linux which is as old as me. Plasma. We both are same age.
And I did something wrong here.
Joe, Moss, I cannot believe that there's a, Plasma is same age as me.
There's a Plasma the same age as you?
Yeah, KDE Plasma is 26 years and I'm also 26 years at this
They haven't
point.
come out with 25 yet, have they?
Sorry?
I thought they were about to come out with 25, which would be the 25th year edition.
They already came out with it, and I can attest that it's one of the smoothest Plasma experience I've had in a long time. Using Plasma since 5.215 in 2014.
Earliest script I have for Full Circle is 211, which is May 17th to 23rd, but I don't have anything.
Just give me 1 minute. I have to close the windows. It's pretty cold out here right now.
Yeah.
Okay, 205 was April 4th to 10th. I don't have that script anymore, but I do have the file I sent to Ronnie. So that's when I started doing that, about April 12th, 13th, somewhere in there. I'm sorry, I hang on to things until I'm actually done with someone asked me the question, 10 minutes ago, and I finally got the answer.
It's like 30 degrees out here. I'm wearing electric blanket.
I don't want to hear it. It's 23
Alexa,
degrees
what's
here.
the temperature? 43 here right now.
He's also
The
wearing
low tonight will be
23.
35.
blanket on top of it.
Thank you, Joe.
The low tonight will be 35, but then the next few days we're getting winter storm warnings.
So
Do we have a
figured out
topic?
yet? I was just getting ready to ask.
No. Every time I bring up topics, somebody changes it.
Well, you did say something last week about networking on the road.
If you wanted to
And
run a
I'd been-
show with networking on the road, I'm cool with that.
What does that
Well, I'm
mean?
just saying we could have more than one topic.
What does networking on the road mean? I didn't understand.
Travel networking.
The GPS stuff?
No.
No.
In
For
my
instance,
case-
go ahead.
In my case, it's using a combination of Pi-hole and WireGuard to tunnel back to my home server.
Oh, so it's like kind of your custom VPN implementation.
Correct.
Anything you use while traveling on the go for networking. Like I didn't use it this year, but last year when we went traveling, I would bring a travel router. And instead of setting everybody up on my parents' network when we showed up there at their house, I just hooked up my travel router up to their router, and that broadcast basically our home network. And then I could set it up so that it also VPN'd back to the home network so that I could have access to, or direct access to my server without having to jump through any more hoops. Things like that.
Oh, okay. So basically what I can like do right now, I'm away from my home network. It's my relatives network. So I can connect to my home network by the ideas you're telling me.
Yeah. Or always being secure. When you leave your house, do you always turn on a VPN?
I don't have a VPN subscription, unfortunately.
You can make your own VPN.
Yeah, you can set up your own VPN so that way at least if you're on a public Wi-Fi, it's encrypted to your house.
Oh, okay. It's not public Wi-Fi. It's a relative's place. It is relatively secure.
But do you ever leave the house? I understand.
Not yet.
I understand that like right now that's difficult.
But I do leave the house if I had a chance, if these restrictions weren't out there.
If you go to a coffee shop, if you go to a restaurant when they're open, and do you use the Wi-Fi there? Do you just use cellular? Do you use a VPN if you're using a public Wi-Fi?
Like if I go to Starbucks, I would prefer using their Wi-Fi rather than wasting a data limited cellular.
Right. But if you're using a public Wi-Fi, you should be on a VPN.
Yes, that's correct.
There are some public Wi-Fis that will not attach to a VPN.
There are some public Wi-Fis that I won't use then.
Exactly, but there are times that you have to use your Wi-Fi whether you can get it to attach to your VPN or not.
So the pie hole, I can carry it around and just attach it to...
No, you should not carry your pie hole around. You should leave your pie hole at home and hooked up. But what you can do is have all the network on your home router going through your pie hole, and then have a VPN set up so that way your phone automatically connects to your home network and then goes through the pie hole.
Oh, that's a lot of networking involved, I think. But it's still doable.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you're the one going to school for it. Fix it.
Who, me? I'm not going to school yet. I'm working on support.
Yeah, get the world on IP version 6 and we won't have these problems.
A lot of people are really upset about IPv6.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Josh. How was your week?
What topic do you want to cover?
Me?
For the next show, what topic do we want to cover?
I have no idea.
How about doing some shows on, like, since we are discussing VPN, like data and user privacy, information security, and why we use Linux for that?
Oof, that's a much broader topic, because then you also start talking about encrypting your OS.
Oh, this reminds me. The hardened Linux kernel, what is it used for? It's the same thing which I'm thinking right now? Security?
I don't know. Probably.
I have come across some hardened, like some Linux OS are hardened. They use the LTS hardened kernel. They run containers as their, like Nix OS for example. That's what got me thinking, why can't we have a small segment on information security? We already do security updates, right? Like user security and privacy, since we are discussing VPN and stuff.
I'm not sure I'd be very qualified to talk about security on a level like that.
Well, we all learn, Bill.
Yes, of
You
course.
talk about security that you use. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not even managed to get NixOS to run on my system. It's just
I would
a
love to
whole
try
other concept.
NixOS. It's a different,
Well,
totally different concept. I totally understand.
they now have an installer, and the installer makes it look like it's any other Linux, but it's still not. But the way that they prefer to have you install, I'm going, huh?
Well, the most secure computer is the one you never turn on.
True, true.
And the
I
next
agree with
most
that.
secure is the one you never connect to a network.
So then you end up talking about the balance between, usability and security, or convenience and security.
What about that Sith Joker thing that they're talking about?
Haven't heard anything.
Ah,
I keep my head in the
they
sand.
have actually seen it in the wild lately. I don't know whether it's only for systems or whether it would run on my machine or I don't want it running on my machine. The thing, but most of these hacks that they come up with really aren't a hack on a PC level. They're a hack on a office system level.
Well,
Joe,
And
I just looked it up, and KDE is 23 years old.
no, Plasma is 25, 25th anniversary edition.
No. Because if I look up KDE and then I look up Plasma, Plasma 4 came out
Plasma
in
didn't start
2008.
until 4. Yeah, Plasma didn't wasn't Plasma until KDE 4.
Yeah, which came out in 2008, 14 years ago.
I'm considering it as a whole.
Then you're still looking at 19 years ago.
Oh,
I wonder what
this
they mean by 25th anniversary edition then.
KDE, then called the Cool Desktop Environment, was founded in 1996 by Matthias Ettrich.
that is the exact date they're taking. As
There you go.
What was that?
When it was founded by Matthias Ettrich in 1996. From there it is 25 years old.
But the first K desktop environment was not released until 98. They announced development in 96, but they didn't release it until
Yeah, so
98.
we're taking it from the announcement of the development by Matthias Ettrich. Basically, it was laid out, right? The plan was laid out for KDE in 96. You can say, okay, 23 if you want.
No, I didn't start using it until I didn't start using it until KDE 3, which came out in 2002. And that was used on Mandrake, which most other systems wouldn't touch it because it wasn't FOSS.
Did it look like GNOME 2 with the white stuff? I mean, white color of the panels and everything?
I hardly even remember what it looked like. I just know it was easier to use than anything else that was out at the time. It was still a few years, like 6 years before Ubuntu became actually usable. I think 08, 04 was the first.
When was the Ubuntu flavor of KDE Plasma? Like, I mean to say Ubuntu, when it started development?
Long time ago.
Kubuntu was sponsored by
2005.
Canonical until
2005
you're
was
ahead
when
of
it
me.
started.
Yep, 5.04.
Okay.
Then use KDE 3.4.
It's a mature little KDE Plasma distro. One of my favorites to go if I want to use Plasma.
Well, the first Ubuntu I used was Hardy Heron. 0.04.
Okay, so my first Ubuntu as a consumer user, not a enthusiast, was Ubuntu 14.04 LTS as a student.
Well, I couldn't go back to Ubuntu until 16.04 because Unity would not run on the equipment I had, and I might have improved my equipment and maybe could have run it on it, but I didn't try it again until they ditched Unity.
You can try one of those older, like pre-KD, pre-16.04 ISOs from that website which we discussed today. Try to run it on newer hardware.
Well, when 12.04 came out, I stopped using Ubuntu and went back to Windows.
You were in a same predicament like me.
And I still was using other Linuxes. No, I couldn't run the main Ubuntu, and I wasn't interested in running flavors at the time.
Okay.
And so I went back to Windows. It was XP.
XP was good. Can't deny that, but okay.
And I moved up to 7, and then when Windows tried to force me onto 10, I said, screw this, and went to Mint 17.
One of my friends is still using Mint 19 and he doesn't want to upgrade to Mint 20 because bugs. He says that bugs are still
There are
there.
more bugs in 19 than there are in 20.
I told him like he'll upgrade it later. He told me to
It's called being
20.3.
lazy.
Yeah.
I'm a student and he wanted to keep it instead of changing around too much.
Like all the
Did you guys
businesses
talk
are still
about-
using 12.0 for Ubuntu.
Did you guys talk about 20.3 on last show? They're apparently not getting published anymore, so I haven't heard.
Well, I
anything for a
don't
while.
think it was out the last show. It came out right before Distro Hoppers on Wednesday.
Oh, I ran my show on
Monday or
20.
Tuesday after the show.
Josh, I ran my show on 20.3 last time.
Well, yeah, but it was still a beta at that time.
No,
Yeah.
after it released. After it officially released, I downloaded the ISO.
What I'm saying, it was not officially released until after our last show.
Oh, okay. I was running my last show from Mint Cinnamon.
Yeah, so that could probably take up some time if you want to do that.
And probably I'll just look into Mint once they base it off 22.04.
That was the smoothest upgrade I have ever had on any disk. It took maybe 5 or 10 minutes and no problems. And I did it on 4 machines.
Jupiter Broadcasting just did a show, Jupiter Extras 81, on Road Trip Tech.
Yeah,
Well, they
that's
do a lot of road trips. They do shows from the road.
So that would be a good source for information.
he's using Starlink and a lot of stuff like that.
I wish Starlink becomes available in India, but I bet it'll be expensive from my
It
point of
is
view.
expensive. It's expensive from my point of view. It's what, $4.99 for the setup, and then $99 a month plus tax.
That's about
That's a
what
lot
I'm
of money
paying
for my
now.
budget.
That will go up to $1,000 in India easily, like 1 lakh for a connection, because it's
I'm paying $40 a month with no equipment for Xfinity Comcast.
okay. That's neat. I think people will hesitate to migrate to Starlink once it becomes worldwide. I mean, if only I think I'm seeing corporations use it for their office network. And
You call it Starlink, I call it Skynet.
what will happen if it goes sentient?
It's just internet service, folks.
That's what they want you to believe.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, Judgment Day will happen?
It's already
Okay, all
happened.
those
You just
little
don't know
brain
it.
cells floating out there in space, they've got to connect sometime.
We've been under the control for years. We just haven't known it. You ever read that book, 1984?
No, but I would love to, since you brought it up.
Oddly,
Well, 1984 is not about machine control, though.
well, I mean, okay, but it's a dystopia that we're already in. It's a level of control that we just don't know about because we're being sort of pacified with these little devices we have to carry around all the time.
I think we're a lot closer to idiocracy than we are to 1984.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a combination of both.
My opinion on that goes back and forth. Sometimes I think, yeah, because I find myself surrounded by a less than stellar level of intelligence, and then sometimes I find myself around some people that kind of impress me, and I think it's just a matter of who you choose to surround yourself with, and I'm not sure that's ever been any different.
I find myself quoting President Camacho rather often.
You're going to have to elaborate on that.
Idiocracy?
Okay.
President Elizondo Mountain Dew Camacho. And I think there's another name in there. Played by Terry Crews. He was fabulous.
Oh.
You haven't seen Idiocracy yet, then?
No.
You can find pirate streams all over the place. It's a movie that 20th Century Fox did not want to release, and they almost didn't.
I'm looking it up on IMDb now just to see.
It's written by Mike Judge, who did King of the Hill and shows like that. He kind of wanted to pull it off because it seemed to him like we were using it as a game plan instead of as a warning.
Oh, okay. Oh my.
You need to watch that. It's a hoot.
So, Josh, how has been your Linux week? Week in Linux.
Aside from an upgrade to 20.3, I haven't really done anything. Work was a bear this week, so.
Okay.
Every week's a Linux week.
Yes. For me, especially deciding on a distro, it's still tough, but I have settled for Fedora for now.
Well, I have the further problem that I have to decide on a distro to for next month's episode of Distro Hoppers, and I'm out.
So, which laptop you have designated the Distro Hoppers Digest monthly?
Well, I think I'm going to start using the T540p for that, but it's a little rough because the 540p has two SSDs in it, which makes it easy because I can just install to the second SSD, but also it has both NVIDIA and Intel graphics on it. And so if I'm installing a distro, I have to install the NVIDIA version of it, if there is one.
Pop OS?
Well,
Moss, don't you just go to Distro Watch and hit the random button and then you don't do that?
That is not possible. For one thing, half of the distros on DistroWatch are not even really Linux distros. Some of them are for running telephone systems.
Does the SSD wear out after a certain read-write? Because
the new ones are pretty good. They have about the same length of life as a hard drive.
Mine is now almost 1 year old, and I've been writing on/off distros for past 1 year now.
Well, it depends on what brand and model it is, but I've been using the ThinkPads tend to come with Samsung Evo 860s or 870s in them.
It's not a Samsung. It's a.
And I have been using silicon dioxide. I've been using silicon power because Josh Hawk told me to. and
No,
I think they're good.
it's
They're,
not
they're not as
Samsung. It's some Taiwanese manufacturer from where Acer came.
well. It
Speaking of
depends on
silicon power,
what level they are. The lowest level ones are still almost as good as a hard drive in terms of write. I was given a bunch of what is it, NS100s,
This is
White
a
Stars.
this is a NVMe M2
Oh,
SSD.
I don't have any NVMe's. It's probably going to do just fine.
Okay.
I'm still running the.
I was expecting SSD failure within 2 months, but it didn't
I'm
happen.
still running these things in some machines, but they're really low quality. But they're still better than a lot of old hard drives.
Joe, what is your take on NVMe life cycle?
I haven't had any die yet.
I got
Okay.
one that's been running for 4 years.
Okay, let's hope for the best. Now my laptop is nearing almost 1 year of its since
The
launch.
server runs 24 hours a day. It's got a Samsung 980 Pro NVMe in it, and I think some of the failures you hear about are a bit overstated. I think people do terrible, awful things to their equipment, and then they blame somebody else for it.
No, I was
Well,
talking about generic distro hopping. Like if I tend to do it a lot, how will it affect the life of
Well,
the SSD?
from a data standpoint, what's the difference between that and anything else you would do with a computer? You know what I mean?
it really
It's
isn't.
Web operating systems, then write operating systems to it. Then web
it's
operating system
absolutely
write.
no different than just your system constantly
Unless,
hitting the var
yeah,
directory.
unless you're doing like a Derek's boot and nuke each time you're switching distros, or unless you're doing
You can
full disk encryption each time and telling it to do
Yeah,
a
which
full
I don't do.
overwrite, then yeah, you're not really using or writing over that much space.
Oh, I'm not doing encryption. It's just the BTRFS subvolumes on some distros.
Well, like I say, the newest machine I have is 2016,
Okay.
and two of those machines came with a SSD in them, and they still have the original SSD.
Okay. So it's working fine?
I haven't noticed any difference from it being a regular hard drive, except being faster.
Okay, that's fine. So I don't have to be worried about my SSD just yet.
You probably don't have to worry about your SSD till long after you're out of school.
Oh, I'm working mass right now.
I know that, but you were saying you were going for your master's.
Yeah, that will be soon. It'll take some 2-3
Well,
months.
like I say, it'll be long after you're done with that before you have to worry about that SSD.
Yeah.
The newer models, by newer I mean newer than 2012, have a lot more rewritability than the older ones. The old ones, there was some real problems with it, but they have better rewrite. Well, heck, look it up. There's Wikipedia out there. How long does an SSD last?
5 million writes.
No, here how do we say that this is operating system read write? Like you're wiping off an operating system, putting it again. 5
Like I
million read
said,
writes.
from a data standpoint, there's no difference between doing that and anything else you would do with a computer. It's just data moving on and off of it. You know,
Okay.
you're not doing anything from the storage perspective. You're not doing anything different than you would be just running the thing every day and gaming with it or whatever you might do.
Okay.
Okay, here's the sentence for you. A typical terabytes written figure for a 250 gigabyte SSD lies between 60 and 150 terabytes written. That means to get over a guaranteed TBW of 70, a user would have to write 190 gigabytes daily over a period of 1 year. In other words, fill 2/3 of the SSD every day.
So 190 gigabytes out of 512 gigabytes.
No, out of 250. Every day over a period of a year.
So if I double it to a 512 gigabyte, so it'll double.
Then it'd be 380 gigabytes daily.
The point is, you've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah,
Yes.
The point is you can't possibly write 190 gigabytes a day.
That's
every
correct.
day.
That's correct. So I don't have to worry about the SSD dying.
And
No.
the Samsung SSD 850 Pro SATA with a capacity of 128 gigabytes is, quote, built to handle 150 terabytes written, which equates to a 40 gigabytes daily read-write workload over a 10-year period.
So that's how resilient they have become. And
Those Samsung drives are just monsters.
no user.
Even if one raised this amount up to 40 gigabytes, it would mean they could read and only write more than almost 5 years until they reach the 70 terabyte write limit.
That's pretty awesome. I mean,
And the most recent estimates put the age limits for SSDs around 10 years, although the average SSD lifespan is shorter.
I would just consider swapping it out once the warranty is gone on the laptop.
I've got this sitting in my drawer. You want it?
How do you send it?
A study between Google and the University of Toronto found that SSDs were replaced about 25% less often than hard drives.
Yeah.
What is that, 2280?
How do I find that?
Here, hold it up.
It's a
Let me see it. Yeah, it's a 2280.
size of a stick of chewing gum. Yeah, it's the one the new computer came with, and I swapped it out with that 980 Pro. It's 512 gigabyte. But I've got this, and I got about a half a dozen smaller ones in my drawer over there.
Well, all of mine are the old SATA type M2s,
Yeah, I've got a bunch of those too.
so I have no idea how fast a real NVMe would be, but the
Oh.
SATA type M2s are just fine.
The difference between NVMe and SATA is, I think, bigger than the difference between SATA, or, well, an SSD and a spinning Rust. It's like having your storage sitting right on top of your CPU.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other way around. Plus, they take up less space.
All right, guys, I got to run, so
Okay, Josh.
later.
Have a nice
have
weekend,
a-
Josh.
Thank you.
I have a new memory chip coming in for my T560, so I'll be up to 16 gigs on every machine in the house. I've only got 8 gigs on the 560 right now.
That number you were talking about, Joe, is that like a...
Oh, that's the width,
Significant
the
to the-
width and length. Different systems can use different, like, physical size of those SSDs. There's a bunch of different types too. There's NGFF, there's SATA, there's B, there's M, there's B and M. But like some devices use 2242, some use 2260, which is a very odd one.
Mine
harder
is
to find
a single.
2260 size. And then there's even some that use like 2230 or something like that, but that's generally like laptops where you're replacing the WAN module.
Mine is a single, what do you call that, port or something. Small slit on the SSD, which you connect it to a port.
Does it look like one of these?
I can't see that. Yeah, this one with that small hole
Well, the
there.
port's M.2.
Yeah, NVMe M.2 it is.
Yeah. This is
Yeah, it looks exactly what Bill showed.
I actually don't know what's inside
BC711.
my Think Center because I can't get it open.
Is that a B
Oh, we
connector
get that
which
sucker
Bill
open.
has?
Well, it has an extra port on it that seems to be screwed in, and I would probably have to unscrew that port to get the case open. It's supposed to just be a one-screw case, but it's not.
Guess I need to go and get some sleep.
No, you don't.
It's 3 a.m.
Anyhow,
It's been a
We're
tiring
good.
week.
we're good. We still don't have a topic.
Better come up with something quick.
Why don't we do the security thing? We can talk about what we can talk about is some of the things people really need to know nowadays to keep from getting scammed. Because
Microsoft
they're
don't
will
open your
never
email.
call you, ever.
right.
Yes.
And all these emails you get.
Oh wait, this regarding the scamming thing, I have seen so many videos in which they bust a scam, and the way he handles it, like Sitski or something like that. That's only Windows stuff, but
Yeah, I think
oh, can we discuss Kali Linux if it's about security?
If you want to have that in your innards, you put Kali Linux in your innards.
Or
Sure.
Tails. Tails is more secure than Kali.
Kali's
Well,
not secure at all, folks.
Yeah, Kali
No,
is
I
for pen
secure.
testing,
It's a tool.
and
It's a
Tails
tool
is for
which
security.
it's a tool which allows you to test your network, for example.
Yeah, that's a skill set, though.
Bill, you're clogging up here.
What's that?
You're clogging
Yeah.
up.
You sound very congested.
Yeah, I had to take yesterday off because I woke up kind of unable to speak, and I was feeling really crappy, and so I called off. And today I feel a little bit better, but I'm still dealing with a sore throat and a cough.
Is everything okay, Bill?
Well, I'm still here. You'll know next week if I don't sign on.
He caught the
How does your
Rona.
tooth taste?
No, I mean to say, just get tested, just in case.
Yeah, if I still feel like this tomorrow, I'm gonna go to we got a clinic over on the other side of town that
They won't
is
let
open
you
on
in.
Sundays.
You have Rona-like symptoms. You can't go.
Yeah,
I have been sick for the past 2 weeks now. I mean, due to the weather, mostly because it's raining and it's getting colder. But nothing to worry about here.
I
Even
can
I-
still taste and smell, so I'm not terribly worried.
But with the new variant, you never know. Just saying. Just saying, Bill.
Yeah, I just have to
okay.
keep positive.
So we're gonna do what what each of us think we should do to be secure today.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea.
I
because
can
that's-
cover like Kali Linux if you want. Has it been talked about yet on mintCast?
Not really.
Okay.
We haven't had any pen testers on the show, you know.
Well, yeah, and I don't want average people going out and using Kali Linux.
Oh, I have used it. I have got lost in its tools, to be really honest, just because I like to dabble.
Kali became much more of a daily
Movie
use
stuff.
distro when they moved away from having you be root. From the
What
first
was
time
UB
you log
root?
in.
Oh, yes. Exactly. But they still do have root thing, right? I still don't understand Kali as much as I would like to.
Well, I still don't understand EasyOS, and that's a lot easier than Kali.
All right.
No, actually, One thing I don't understand about Kali is why they don't tell us to run it on our machines. Instead, use a pen drive to run it.
Do you guys want to keep going?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, then this is
Nah,
a good time to call it. I'm going to go take a nap.
It's not a distro for installation. It's just not. If you want to be using pen testing, you don't want it on your hard drive.
You want it
traceable.
portable. You want it portable. That's what I understood from
Not
this.
just portable, but
Really?
but
You want Tails
not
portable
plugged in.
too.
Yeah.
You want Tails on a thumb drive. A really fast thumb drive, but you want it on a thumb drive. That way you can remove it and throw it away.
Why would you throw away Tails?
Well, if you're in a country where they dislike you publishing
Snooping around.
something about the government.
Yeah, if you have a copy of these things on you, they will assume that you're a criminal.
Yeah. What you can
What
do
if-
is completely get rid of your OS simply by removing a USB thumbstick and flushing it down the toilet.
That's expensive. That's gonna be expensive maintaining a stock of Tails.
Not the price
OS.
of USB sticks these days.
Exactly. You can get an 8 gig USB stick for nothing. A 16 gig USB
A lot
stick
cheaper than
for
having them
nothing.
confiscate your computer.
Yeah.
You just give me an idea, Joe. Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
one of the things you can do to secure your computer is to put your boot partition onto a thumb drive, and then if it's encrypted, if your drive is encrypted, and you pull that thumb drive and you get rid of it, toss it in a corner where nobody will find it, something, they can't start your computer and they can't decrypt anything. So good luck finding anything that I've done. Ever.
Sweet. Gives me that espionage vibes. Going? Bye.
Sayonara.
I'm off.
See ya.
the-
Has to be faster.
I'm ending the stream.
I'm ending the stream with
I'm What's the package manager on Tails? Tails OS package.